Echo TV is a co-production of Minnesota's Emergency, Community, and Health Outreach Collaborative of Health, Safety, Emergency Preparedness, Ethnic and Non-Profit Agencies, and TPT's Minnesota channel.
Hello, and welcome to ECHO, which means Emergency, Community, Health, and Outreach. This program provides information about health, safety, emergency, and civic topics for audiences who have a limited knowledge of English. In an emergency, this TV station will provide information about the community to keep you safe and healthy. I'm your host, Calvin Worthen. Our topic on ECHO TV is about active living and healthy eating on a budget. In a few moments, we will talk with experts on this important subject. But first, ECHO would like you to watch this message about our topic.
We'd all like to be as healthy as possible, but it's not always easy. For most of us, being healthy is something we have to work towards. That means regular exercise and being active as much as possible. Taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Riding a bike or walking instead of driving a car. Not smoking, and limiting how much alcohol we drink for a healthier life. And eating healthy foods. Eating healthy meals takes time and planning. Some people worry that it might cost too much. Yet, isn't our health worth much more? Sometimes more affordable foods are high in fat, sodium, and sugar. Advertising may make those foods look good, but they can make you gain weight because so many of them have lots of calories and are high in fat. To eat healthy, we need to start buying healthy food and preparing healthy meals. Even if we don't have a lot of money to spend on food, there are ways to make the most of what we can spend. And there are programs to help us learn how to buy healthy food and how to prepare healthy meals that don't cost very much. The Simply Good Eating program teaches individuals and families what they need to know to maintain healthy diets and keep active. Simply Good Eating, and other programs like it, offer classes where individuals and families who qualify can learn things like how to make healthy meals that don't cost a lot and how to stay physically active. The classes are held at convenient places like community centers or food shelves. These classes can show us healthy ways to make our traditional favorites. It's so important for everyone to make healthy food choices. People who eat well do better at work, school, or play. Older people who eat well stay in their homes longer and have lower medical bills. The better we eat, the better we feel, and we enjoy life even more. If we don't eat a healthy diet, there's a greater chance we can get certain diseases. By establishing healthy eating habits, we make it less likely that we'll get those diseases. So make the effort to eat better, exercise more, and make the best of what we can spend on food. It will help.
You're watching ECHO, a program designed to provide information about health, safety, emergency, and civic topics for audiences who have limited knowledge of English. We are talking about active living and healthy eating on a budget. To help us learn more, I would like to introduce our guest. This is Angie Thornhill, who is a community nutrition educator from the University of Minnesota Extension. And this is Roxanne Johnson, who is a public health nutritionist and certified diabetes educator in Indian Services. Welcome to ECHO. You're welcome. Thank you. First, I'd like to start off with a question to Roxanne. What is healthy eating?
Well, I get asked that question every day from people since I'm a nutritionist. But basically, you know, we need to start thinking about food as medicine instead of, you know, our preferences for what we'd like to eat based on our, you know, foods that are salty or sweet or high in fat. So we need to have the right balance of foods that we're choosing.
When you say balance, you're talking like color or
yes,
portion.
exactly. The types of foods that we're choosing are very important for our bodies, because, and that's where the health part comes in. What we're choosing provides us those nutrients that are going to improve our health.
Nice.
So they're based on our cultures, first of all. So if we rely on some of our cultural foods, you know, those are going to be healthiest for us.
Yeah.
Especially foods that are not processed.
Yes, yes.
And then we want to have variety. We don't want to keep eating the same things day after day.
So what can I do for a healthy lifestyle? That's a pretty fancy word there. What are some basic things I can do for a healthy lifestyle?
For a healthy lifestyle, well, again, it's based on your habits. So you very much want to, you know, make sure you're not smoking, drinking, using drugs. You want to do things in moderation, be active as you can, get regular checkups with your doctor, and just making sure all those healthy changes are very gradual. Start each day with a healthy breakfast. Breakfast is so important for us. Gets our metabolism going for the day.
So I shouldn't jump into like a workout or a diet plan immediately.
No, unless it's something that, you know, you've kind of planned out and thought about. Usually people make changes more easily if they're not trying to do too many things all at once. Good. So focus on those little small habits, you know, like eating, I'm going to eat more fruits and vegetables, or I'm going to plan to take my lunch to work instead of eating out, you know, those kind of things. Try new recipes at home, include new ingredients, making sure you're eating a variety of different types of foods again.
Nice. Angie, why do people sometimes have a hard time making some healthy choices?
I think it's just people don't know. They're just used to what their habits. So there's a lot of foods that are available. They may not know what it is, how to cook it, what to do with it. So then they'll tend to shy away from it. The other thing is that it can be really expensive if you go into the grocery store. It looks like the healthier foods as opposed to a canned item. If it has a lot of sugar, it can be a little bit cheaper option. So they sometimes lean towards that because of the budget. Okay.
And so, Roxanne, what should I eat more of?
Well, you should focus on, you know, the food guide pyramid teaches us to eat more foods, you know, at the bottom of the pyramid, which was the grain group. And we want to make sure some of those foods are whole grains so that we're getting more nutrients out of them. Yeah. And then, of course, fruits and vegetables. People usually only get maybe 2 servings a day, and you need more like 8 to 10 servings. Okay. Yeah. And, you know, it doesn't matter if they're fresh, frozen, or canned. All of those choices are good for us. You know, there's a few things we could do with some of those, like the canned ones. We can drain out those liquids, but other than that, it's just, you know, getting in those servings in different forms. And, you know, especially with our families, sometimes our kids are going to like them fresh versus frozen, you know, so we have to kind of pay attention to those kind of things as well. Then, of course, we need our dairy foods. We can keep those low fat. We need our beans, nuts, and eggs, lean meats like fish and poultry. And then, of course, the beverages. We want to drink more water instead of sugary beverages. Yes.
And considering that, all those great things you just mentioned, the grains, the greens, the water, the nuts, you know, what are some foods that we should limit?
Well, of course, we want to watch out for those sugary beverages because they're empty calories. You know, we're just gonna, they don't fill us up, so we really want to take those out of our diet as much as possible. We also want to watch those foods that are high in fats, sugars, and salt, because those can cause disease if we eat those in excess. So those would include, of course, packaged type foods, fast food, chips, desserts, those kind of things. So.
Nice. Angie, where can we find some help with making healthy eating choices?
Well, the University of Minnesota and the Minnesota Chippewa Tribes has the Simply Good Eating program, as it's known here. and the Minnesota Chippewa Tribes has the Let's Eat the Right Foods, where we sit down and we teach basic nutrition and healthy choices. And as we were saying, with the foods that you don't know how to cook, we can do recipes to show you how to cook them. You can taste them right there because it's interactive.
So the class was going on. People are learning to cook foods, and eating and tasting. Is it culturally based as well, or can it be modified for that?
It absolutely can, and that's what we like to do. And I'm the Native American, so a lot of my curriculum is based around our traditional foods.
Okay.
So
that sounds good. Sounds really good.
Yeah.
So where can I find a Simply Good Eating or Let's Eat Right food class?
We are absolutely everywhere. So if you go to any community organizations, we're also social service agencies. We partner with the county's schools. We offer, you can see if you're talking to your kids about what they did, they'll probably mention that they had a lesson.
Okay. And
we're there, so you can reach out to the child's teacher and get that information. And if you're at the Boyce Fort, Fond du Lac, Grand Portage, Leech Lake, Mille Lacs, and White Earth reservations, you can call the Minnesota Chippewa Tribe at 1-888-903-8543. And then if you're just in the community, you can simply just ask for the Simply Good Eating program, and they'll direct you to us.
Okay. Roxanne, how do we create a budget for food?
Well, first of all, when we're talking about budgeting, planning is very key because we have to know what kind of foods we're going to prepare so that we can eat a little healthier. So that way we'll be able to use coupons. We'll know what recipes we can use. We can use some of the Simply Good Eating recipes.
Nice.
We can create shopping lists ahead of time so we don't have to go to the grocery store as much. That kind of saves us on gas and things like that. And then trying to buy things that are more local or in season are very important. So shopping at the farmer's market and, looking to see what is in the grocery stores that is, from that season. Mm-hmm. It's going to save you some money there. And then maybe even growing your own food, having a garden or investing in a community garden and kind of sharing some of those duties with other people.
Wow, it sounds very interesting. Angie, how can I get help buying meals?
Well, there's a couple different programs. There's the Food Stamp Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is simply for everybody else called SNAP.
Okay.
And what that is, it's just food stamps, and it's just the fancy name for it.
Yeah.
And the money goes on the EBT card, so that way you can go grocery shopping. Food shelves, you can go to your local food shelf, and they will, their choices are varied nutrition. Okay. And there's free and reduced school lunches. The WIC program, the Women, Infants, and Children Nutrition Program. You can also call the Minnesota Food Helpline to see if you're eligible to apply, and that number is 888-711-1151.
Angie, what about accountability? Is there any way, can somebody come to the store with me and with my SNAPS card, I'm in the store. Is there any way I can get some help and some direction in choosing the right foods and products that I should consume?
Absolutely. One of the courses that we offer in the Simply Good Eating program is we'll actually go to the grocery store with you.
Nice.
Yep, and we'll make healthy choices. We have a really nice lesson with comparing how much you have to shop for, what you can actually get the most money out of.
Yes. Tell me some more about this class. I mean, what the Simply Good Eating or Let's Eat Right classes?
So other than the shopping, we do, again, the taste testing. So new foods, we'll bring in, maybe it's a recipe that you like, but we'll make a healthier version of it. Okay. And then you can taste it to make sure you like it. We provide those recipes for you. We also, just one of the things we like to do is demonstrate healthier traditional meals. So that way you can cook what you like in a healthier way. And then we just, the instructors that we have, like myself, know what it's like to be on unlimited income. So we've been there, we've done it. We'll be right there with you telling you how to make those great decisions.
That's good. That's very good. So, Roxanne, what are some simple ways to be physically active each day?
Well, walking is one of the best exercises that we can do, and it's for all ages and for all different levels of physical fitness. We can all, park our cars farther away when we're going places so that we get a few extra steps into our day. We can dance around the house with our kids, or incorporate some traditional type activities like powwow dancing within my culture is what we do. You can also take the stairs instead of elevator, enroll in physical activity classes, or even sports, like, kids like to be involved in soccer, football, basketball, those kind of sports.
Nice.
And then we also got to stay active during the winter months. So, we can go to the mall and go walking instead of staying at home, or we can do those exercise videos in front of our TV.
That's a good idea.
So lots of ways to stay active.
That's a very good idea. What are some resources, Angie, that can help my family stay physically active?
Well, the Simply Good Eating program, we do promote physical activity. We can show you where you can find free or low-cost physical activity in your neighborhood. A lot of times it's the YMCA, and if you're a lower income, they do have some sliding fee or some assistance that they can help you with. Okay. And then you can just have the conversation with other people to talk about the ways that you can get that into your day.
Nice. Nice. So, Roxanne, what are some short-term benefits to an active lifestyle?
Well, our heart is going to be healthier. Heart is a muscle, so we need to work it with the physical activity. Also going to increase our energy, make us be faster thinkers. It's going to help us burn some calories, so it can help with some weight management. Also keeps our muscles, bones, and joints healthy, and helps us deal with stress.
That's important. That's really important. Angie, what are some long-term benefits to an active life?
Well, obviously a healthier life.
Yes, yes.
You lower your risk of obesity, reduce the risk of heart disease and blood circulatory diseases. You'll reduce the risk for high blood pressure. Also type 2 diabetes, which is very predominant in the Native American culture, so it's really important we take a stance on that. And then also just to reduce your stress.
Yes. That's very important. At least I think so.
Absolutely.
So, Roxanne, how is healthy eating and active living helping families and children?
Well, first of all, if we're doing that ourselves, then we're kind of acting as role models for our children. And then as families, if we're leading active lifestyles, we're also showing our communities that we should be. So
healthier communities, more vibrant families.
Yes.
That's enjoyable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep everyone healthy, happy, better attitudes. Our kids, see us eating healthy, so they pick up those habits and then they practice them.
Nice. That's really good. Angie, can anyone participate in the Simply Good Eating program?
Our program's targeted for lower income families. If you want to see more information, if you qualify, you can visit the extension.umn.edu/nutrition, or you can call the 612-625-7070. We're available in several different languages, so if you need an interpreter, you can just ask. We have quite a few different representation there. Also on the Boys Fort, Fond du Lac, Grand Portage, Leech Lake, Mille Lacs, and White Earth Reservation. If you're in those nations, you can call the Minnesota Chippewa tribe at 888-903-8543.
That's very important information to stay culturally aware and to not so much take on the processed diet and food. How much of a struggle is this in the Native American community? And I know in the African American community, this is something that we struggle with because of the lack of variety of foods and places to buy healthy foods in certain neighborhoods. Does that happen as well in the Native American community?
Absolutely. Your choices are different if you actually live on the reservation as opposed to in the city. Wow. In the urban areas, we have a lot more choices. There's a lot more resources available to us. most of the time on the reservation there is only one store, and the healthier choices do tend to be the higher priced items.
Oh, okay.
So again, that's where the planning comes into play. It's not impossible, you just have to be mindful.
Yes. And then we need to also consider trying to remember to pass on those traditional meals.
Absolutely.
So that the diet for the particular group is something that sustains us. I know for many ethnic groups in America, it is easy for us to try to adapt to a burger and fry situation, and not to knock a burger and fry, but I believe that most cultures here thrive on lots of vegetables and certain types of meat, like bisons and boar, and not just chicken and burger. And so how important is this to try to reiterate to the young people the message of the cultural significance of eating?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think our Native families struggle with the change in diet. You know, some of those foods, those traditional foods, are not so readily available. You know, a lot of them, people only eat them during holidays. Otherwise, they're really struggling to, you know, get them back into their day-to-day food choices. And then you have to, you know, try to pass those down to your children, which comes in, you know, the cooking skills are important in trying to teach kids while they're young how to cook.
Nice.
It's important.
Well, that's really important. I believe that the eating is what builds families, and building families is what builds nations. So I think it's important for us to try to remember this this idea that we can circle around this food, and I'm not really sure if there are culturally significant food items that like come with stories and things like that, but I know in the African American community, through Kwanzaa, we would celebrate through particular food items and introduce the food item to our young African Americans as that. Does that happen as well? Is there something that's significant that can pull the youth into eating through a traditional message?
Well, there's two different things. We do have a story, the three sisters. Mm-hmm. It's the bean, the corn, and the squash.
Nice.
And the way that those plants work together. It's a story on cooperation, and the three sisters they wanted to be by themselves, and then they just decided that they'd grow better, and they actually flourish. I don't know if you know much about gardens, but those three plants together are unstoppable.
Wow.
And that's something that we teach to our kids, and it's a vegetable.
Yeah.
We have T-shirts, and it's just a very important thing. And the other thing with our youth that I found really connects with them is when we talk about the historical trauma and what's happened to our people mm-hmm. with the boarding schools and how our culture was trying to be wiped out.
Yes, yes.
So when we go back to how our traditional foods were before that period, and really making a stance to say, you know, you had tried to assimilate us, but we're not going to, and this is how we used to live. Kids tend to want to be proud of who they are mm-hmm. and want to understand a little bit more about their history, so we can connect it with food that way.
I like that. Revolutionary eating.
Absolutely.
You know, trying to take a turn to understand the past and still strengthen yourself through very good nutrition and a great story, which is, you know, it gets that emotional, you know, composite in there. That's very important to have that connection in your culture and your food. And I understand from the African American community that we have many of story and traditional, and the same with dealing with the struggle of the country and how culture was wiped away, food is wiped away, language is wiped away, and it's really powerful and significant that programs like this exist, that you could still kind of shake the ashes and bring this thing back up. And I think it's wonderful. Simply Good Eating, Extension, University of Minnesota Nutrition. For more information, you can call 612-625-7070. Let's eat the right foods at 1-888-903-8543. And here are some of our key messages that we want to make sure you leave with, as ECHO wants to give you the good information about eating healthy and being active is important for everyone. That's our first message. Secondly, you can make healthy food choices even on a limited budget. And third, there are resources to help you buy and prepare healthy foods. I would like to thank our guest for joining us on ECHO. Thank you, Angie Thornhill from the University of Minnesota Extension and Roxanne Johnson from the Indian Health Service. We hope you enjoyed our show. If you would like to see this information again or learn about other healthy, safe, emergency, or civic topics, visit our website at echominnesota.org. Remember, ECHO provides information about health and safety to residents of Minnesota who do not know English well. Our program airs monthly on this station, and we hope that you stay tuned to ECHO for more information. Thank you for joining us.
ECHO TV is a co-production of Minnesota's Emergency, Community, and Health Outreach Collaborative of Health, Safety, Emergency Preparedness, Ethnic and Nonprofit Agencies, and TPT's Minnesota channel.